Hello, hello. Let's check that audio. All right. Kevin Moss, how you doing? I'll be joining y'all on Telegram real soon. Just going over some stuff. Mr. Moss, audio's good. Excellent. You can hear a pin drop in here. I got a fly in here. I have not been able to get him out. This is one of those stealth flies. I got my AC off, so it's so quiet. Now all of a sudden you can hear sparrows and birds. My dog's going off. So wow. It's a good thing I got this new mic. You guys can't hear all these distractions I'm hearing. Amazing. Not wearing a hat today. Just decided that this video here is a little too serious. Just a little too serious. All right. Audio is peak. Excellent. Can you guys hear all that back? So I'm hearing all kinds of stuff in the background. There's all kinds of activity on my property right now. I may turn my AC back on just to drown it out. All right, I'm just looking at my chat. Y'all don't hear anything? Wow. Good microphone. Doesn't help me though. Oh, at Julia Hall, you can hear the dog. All right, just like my old videos when I first started. So, first things first, moderators. I know you guys like to post because many of you know my material, and as I'm speaking, you will post a link to the video or something I'm talking about. In this instance, I'm going to ask you to refrain from posting links to videos in this video here until I specifically ask. And I will be asking for you to post about a dozen or so videos that are relative to what we're talking about. Every single one of them are from the We Immortals playlist. So, yeah, you guys are going to excuse me. I can't deal with that distraction. I can't deal with that. That's too much. And my dogs just started playing again after Tank died. My other three dogs started playing a little bit more. They're getting more vocal, moving around. But once one starts barking, then the other three, then I'm just not going to be able to contain it. So, I will be telling you to drop videos. This is a very important video. This is a video you're going to come back to and listen to probably multiple times, the majority of you. Jamie Robbins pretty much inspired this by asking me to do it. But yeah, there's that fly again. What is it? AIX today. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just had the door open and you still wouldn't leave. Yeah, this is not Q&A, man. Yeah. You can hold your questions. I'm not doing Q&A here. So I do have an errant ad to get out of the way. Not very many announcements. Telegram group's going really, really good, but it's for the cipher material. Well, yeah, I got a new file I put together with all the errant ads that still haven't been displayed, and I'm putting a errant ad page on Archaix.com for all the videos because I got a file full of a bunch of them. Our next video will be Archaix 4.0. We're going to the Ogaigian deluge, 1687 BC. We're hammering the point in for all these critics who want to attack the Phoenix phenomenon material. I'm giving you the business. I'm giving you all the sources, giving them, yeah, I don't know. You know what? Where are you at? Where are you at? I've been on Jimmy Corsetti's butt lately. I'm not done with him. Now it's David Edward. I can't believe he published these 2 books. If you're not on my Twitter account, you really don't know what I'm doing day to day. I'm on the Archaix X page every single day posting things. If you're not on there, you're missing out because you know I'm not on Facebook. You know I don't do anything else but YouTube and Twitter. That's it. That's it. So, did I see dear old dad in the chat? He threw me a little old birthday party yesterday. Thank you, James Falkenberg. I'm glad we got that deal set up. And by the way, your 4 terabyte drive, I got a pretty good memory for this. But James, your 4 terabyte drive and your Archaix Academy drive with 26 courses it should be on the way. I talked to Cheryl about it yesterday. But let's get our errant out of the way so we can get on to this. In the description box, you will find out everything you need to know, the contact information, website, as to who our sponsor is for this video today. Let's go ahead and check out what they got to say. We're going to check it out again toward the end of the video, just like we do. That's our tradition. We show every errant ad twice, at the beginning and at the end of the video. That's not it. Well, I'm just having all kinds of issues. All kinds of issues. Even before I started the video late because I had all my electrical was off.
From ancient biblical, Ayurvedic, and Chinese texts to more modern texts from the likes of George Carey, Walter Russell, and now modern peer-reviewed studies name this one substance the panacea for all human health. Asphaltum, mumio, the sand salt of the pineal gland, the literal kundalini rising, shilajit, true shilajit, not the so-called Himalayan coal shilajit made in China, but nature-made shilajit is the singular, most beneficial natural healing agent found on Earth. Hello, fellow errants. Is it possible that most of us have never experienced true vitality? That we have not raised the bar of understanding, that of our own physiological and mental potential? Shilajit. Start here.
I have never heard of that before. That is very interesting. Yeah. I've never even heard of that. But you know what? If it removes all that, I might have to look into that. I wish it would remove this damn fly. But you need to go to the description box, and you will see under the description of the video, before all the Archaix links, you will see the errant ad description of what this is, and how to contact these people. Shilajit to quit. Yeah, I've never heard of that stuff. Wow, so there's other people in the chat that know what that is. Okay, that's good. That's good. I like hearing that. Cleans water as well. How interesting. Interesting. So guys, comprehending something is not the same as knowing it. You can sit in a room and listen to a man speak about, just go on a diatribe, and you can resonate with what is coming out of his mouth, and you can understand things that he's talking about. But comprehending what someone else is talking about isn't the same as knowing it. There is a distinction. So the distinction can be carried over in the same way that witnessing an event is not the same as observing it. So you may think I'm splitting hairs, but there is a distinction here. We witness things all the time, but it's very rarely when we are actually practicing observation. So These things are critical to understand, because in order for us to really grasp who we are, in order for us to know what we are, we have to know where we are first. If we don't have an idea of our location, we may not even have a general idea of our own identity. It's critical to understand that observation allows us to understand the environment. And it's often our environment that identifies what it contains. This experience that we're having is just that. It's an experience. It's not a planet. It's not a realm. It's not a world. This is an experience, and it's entirely programmed. And there's a lot of people that take offense to that, but that's okay. For those of you willing to follow this logic train, by the end of this video, you should be at the point to where you can do some majorly significant things, little edits in your life that will effect profound change. So for those who will come back and observe this video after it's over, would one of my moderators please post the link to the video, Mirror of the Divine? Just need one person to post it. I understand if 2 or 3 accidentally do it. It's okay. But once I'm done with this video, there's going to be many people who want to follow through, and they're going to want to go back and say, damn, I need to go see those links that Jason told us moderators to drop. And I promise you, you will derive great value in watching these videos in the order that I tell my mods to drop them. Mirror of the Divine first. So it's one of my new Archaix mugs. I forgot to show that off. My Cheryl's supposed to give me a whole box full of Archaix merchandise so I can start showing you guys. I haven't really pushed my stuff. I know a lot of people want different things. I got a new t-shirt being made called Archaix Running Man Edition. It's going to show people's names, like it's going to show a dude running. It's going to show me in the background as a shadow, and it's going to show Graham Hancock's name, Jimmy Corsetti, Billy Carson, a whole bunch of people. You know what? Now I'm probably going to add David Edward. I'm about to ask him if he wants to defend Jimmy Corsetti, since he so willingly published 2 books about Jimmy Corsetti's theory. Let's go ahead and get David Edward on Archaix and see if he wants to defend that Atlantis 9,600 year BC stuff and that salt dome out there in the Sahara that they're trying to say is Atlantis. So he's next. You guys know I'm not gonna sit here and be like others and say I called somebody out for a debate and just do it to their own community. You know, I'll send the real emails and I will publish the emails for you to see. But yeah, it's 2025. It's too late to be polite, guys. It's way too late. It's too late for that crap. So anyway, life itself is an experience, but we enjoy this experience through the medium of an avatar. And the collective, which we like to call the living dead, they've basically fallen for the idea that they are their avatar. And this happens to be the source of all their problems. The avatar is merely an extension of the construct. It is a part of the construct. The very programming protocols, from benefactor protocols to feedback loops of dungeon programming, negative default programming, all the subroutines in the construct, all the little things, all the axioms, things we find axiomatic and we all agree to be true, and they are true across the board for every soul here. I've given you whole lists of them in prior presentations. These things that we experience through the avatar, this programming that is enmeshed between the avatar and the construct, makes our bodies to be one with the Materium. The constructional programming itself is also our bodies. But the source of almost all of our problems comes from the idea that we are our bodies, that the avatar is actually some type of reflection of ourself, and that we are not the immortal within. The living dead live for the avatar. The immortal within is more to source and is only experiencing things here. Nothing here really matters or obtains. So the avatar is merely an extension of the construct used by souls to interface with the field. Remember, it's not just an insignificant flesh bag that your soul inhabits in order to move around. It is the interface. How do we know this? Because the central nervous system could not exist. The high complexity of the central nervous system's filtration systems that allows it to filter out all kinds of olfactory, audible, visual data. All this information is filtered out so that you can perceive this experience linearly. This interface is done through the avatar. The avatar is what possesses the central nervous system. The central nervous system is the bridge. It is the bridge between the psyche and the simulation. So the avatar is a necessary component of this experience. It's the boat that we row through this river of experience. It's necessary. But the idea that we are the avatar and not the inhabitant within is the source of almost all of mankind's problems. It is the worship of the construct over the creator. So let me get this coffee's so good today. Would one of my moderators please post, "You are the secret to the similosphere"? It's another video in the We Immortals playlist. You are the secret to the similosphere. So this field, I like to call it the simulacrum because it's a copy of something. It is a field of pure frequencies. These create the collective experience that we know of as an environment. So everything is frequency. We feel happy, we feel sad, we're mad, we're distressed, whatever. We feel detached. Whatever the emotion is, that emotion is attached to frequency. But our emotions are things that we broadcast. There are other frequencies that we can tap into resonance with that are in the field, that are independent of us, that have nothing to do with the immortal within. These are frequencies that our avatars can tap into, and then we can ride those waves, whatever's going on. A lot of people find comfort in being surrounded by other people, and they don't mind what those other people are doing. So they get swept up in the momentum, and when they do, they don't even know that they have entered some facet of dungeon programming. We're not going to go into the details of dungeon programming in this video. I've done too many videos on it already. These feedback loops that are designed to trap collective souls into activities that have many, many other souls all doing the exact same thing, believing the same thing, and basically providing the impetus and the momentum for a feedback loop that then self-perpetuates. You become a participant, and the only way to free yourself is to break pattern. But you'll never break pattern unless you know that you're a slave. So in order to know that you're a slave, you first have to experience a modicum of freedom. Dungeon programming is poisonous, and the great body of the human family are suffering from it right now. We all suffer from it. We phase in and out of this reality. We do. I suffer from it too. There's all kinds of forms of dungeon programming. Now, these frequencies that are in the field, they are fixed as protocols, as subroutines, builder protocols, collapse protocols, all kinds of things that create more feedback loops of experience. These frequencies have governors that maintain all kinds of programming that we can agree on, such as I've given examples in the past. You throw a rock up, you know it's going to come down. You take a match and you light it and you hold it up to your hand, you know you're going to feel pain. You're going to damage your avatar. This is universally true for every soul here. If you quit breathing oxygen, you will die. This is universally true for every soul here. Although our experiences may differ, many of the things that we come into contact with in daily life may be totally, completely the opposite of what other souls in the construct believe to be true. But that's because this is a field of frequencies. And if you're not in resonance with the belief structures of others, then the frequencies that they follow and suffer and are in resonance with are discordant to you. They turn you off, and you rarely come into contact with them. A field of frequencies on a two-dimensional level is experienced through, it's the best analogy I can provide to you is two-dimensionally, and it's through the visual of a kaleidoscope. When you look through an ocular at a kaleidoscope and you see the beautiful geometrical pattern, you're looking at a two-dimensional plane. When you turn the kaleidoscope, the pattern completely changes. You can envision that as a complete different frequency. The souls that were looking at it from one perspective saw something. They saw a pattern. That pattern took on meaning to them. But to you, it was discordant. You turned it until you found something that was visually pleasing, that you resonated with. It's the same. It's just an analogy, but it's the best one I can come up with how two different souls being in the same room can experience reality in totally different ways. I say this a lot. We may live in the same world, but some of us are not living in the same universe. So these protocols and these things that we find to be true and that make this experience believable, such as if I run and jump into that river, I'm going to get wet. Okay, it is absolutely impossible by the protocols that are operative within the construct right now for me to jump into that river and stay dry when I'm immersed in the water. It's impossible. Therefore, there are many things in the construct that we all as the collective agree to be true. They become axiomatic. There's that damn fly. So if these things are true, then there must be other things that we can agree by experience are true as well. One of those things is duality. This perpetuity programming that separates phenomena into polarities. How many of you have experienced some form of duality in your life? How many of you can readily see it everywhere? In the business world, in the personal world, in the spiritual world, corporate, in the entertainment world. Duality is everywhere. It is another aspect of the programming of the construct. You know duality. It's everywhere. Where in this experience have you not seen elements of good and evil? Have you not come into contact with elements of life and death, of light and shadow? These are polar extremes. This is all duality. The past and the future. There's only one nexus. There's only one bridge that could ever link the past and the future. And no, it's not the present. The only link that can fuse the past with the future or the future with the past is the personal. It's you. That's why I had my moderators put that link. You are the secret to the similosphere. The awake sleep cycle is integral. It is a key component of constructual programming and the avatar construct interface. Our avatar belongs to the construct. The construct itself has this duality, and it has this ebb and flow programming. When no matter what you're doing in life, no matter how much energy you expend, how intelligent you are, how much money you spend, there are some times in your life where nothing goes right. And then there are other times in your life when it takes almost no energy, no thought, no work, and no money. And yet, with a little bit, just a little nudge, all of a sudden, tremendous things unfold in your life. Far beyond any energy you expended to obtain them. There's an ebb and flow that we can tap into, but it requires the immortal within to do this. So, moderators, please post the video Time Travel. It's a discourse on timelessness. I appreciate that, mods. That'll be Time Travel in the We Immortals playlist. And I keep needing to sneeze. There it is. I called it. There, I feel better. So this polarity, this duality programming that governs our world, it even extends into the experience itself. It identifies the experience itself, because the experience itself is also polarized. And it's polarized between two completely separate bandwidths of light. The lower spectrum is the Materium. It is all the constructual programming protocols, subroutines, everything. You can call it the matrix. It's here. This is what we're living in. This beautiful mathematical experience that we call home. The opposite end, the polarization, the opposite end of the lower light spectrum, which is all the phenomena of the material existence, Materium. The opposite is spirit. So this duality programming, it's everywhere. It extends into every facet of the human experience. So the important thing is where you believe yourself to be within these polar extremes. It always determines the experiences that you have. Where you believe yourself to be within these opposites provides the coordinates for your experiences that you enjoy in the field. Process that for a minute. Who are you in relation to these opposites? If you had a left to right bar graph with an abacus-like bead that you could move left or right, you need to be real honest with yourself, because you live in a reflective medium, and this reflective medium will always take your signals and turn them into broadcasts that create your reality tunnels of experience. It is a feedback loop of your own design. So who are you on this abacus going back and forth? Who are you in relation to good and evil, these two polar opposites? In the world of light and shadow, where would you place your bead? Between the terminus of death and the potential of life, where are you? how do you even define life and death? Because your definition is going to define where you stand between the two. Where are you between the opposites of awake and sleep? And your definition of sleep and being awake will also affect your coordinates in the field. Where are you in relation to the past and the future? Who do you believe yourself to be? Every answer to every question that I just pose absolutely defines who you are. It is the mirror of the divine. This is another reason why I had them post that link in the beginning of this video. The mirror of the divine will always reflect back as experiences the very things you personally projected into the Materium. This is the world you live in. It is an interface. The Materium and the spirit within, two total opposites. The spirit within, the immortal within, is moored to source, the oversoul, which is beyond this experience, transcends this experience. It is a frequency far above any of the lower base frequencies in the Materium, because it requires lower frequencies in order to become the Materium. The higher the frequency, the more it moves, the more it's not there. So my moderators would please post a link from the We Immortals playlist. Being an immortal in a fallen world. Y'all been telling me my coffee mug is real loud under that. I need to get some. I mean to get some rubber. Put a rubber stopper here or something. And I know this is loud too, but I don't care. Yeah, man. Don't ever begrudge a man pouring himself another cup of coffee. Don't do it. So another good link to put is I hardly ever promote it, but it's relevant to this video. My best-selling book is Awaken the Immortal Within. It's a very small book because it gets straight to the point. One of my moderators can post the link to order Awaken the Immortal Within. I've made it as cheap as possible. It's published by Booktree Press. You can also get it on Amazon. You can go to my website, Archaix.com, and you can order it through there. So what we do inside the Materium creates a dynamic, because the avatar, our body, is a part of the very Materium that we are flowing through. And when we use our avatar in the Materium to do something, we are casting forth a mathematical field that reflects back the basically experiences that are governed solely by how we see ourselves. This is why I'm telling people all the time. The main component, thinking is good. Thinking is really good, but thinking will never get you anywhere, because thinking has no motive power whatsoever. You can think things into existence all the time. All the fantasies of the world, and people fantasize when they put their head on their pillows all the time. I've never slept with Heather Locklear. It's never happened. But when I was a kid in the 80s, I sure as hell wanted to, and I thought about it many, many times. It's never happened. All the thought and all the fantasizing in the world will do nothing, because it has No, there's nothing motive about it. You can create thought constructs and release them into the field all the time, but they never become anything but information suspended in the field. Unless you move your avatar in the direction of what you want, because then something dynamic happens. Then the highly informed field of the soul inside that avatar, its own arithmetic aligns with the avatars, and the avatars is already in sync with the Materium. Then magic begins to happen, because the construct instantly knows exactly what is wanted and begins to build as far as the possibilities within your own belief structure. It will do it. Everybody's belief structures are different. Some people believe they deserve more than they do. Other people don't believe they deserve anything in life. And the construct will always reflect back of circumstances, whatever your belief structure broadcast into it. So what we do, what I do on a daily basis, what we do has everything to do with what we experience. And we don't even have to accomplish everything. I say this a lot. We don't. Once the signal is broadcast on what is wanted in the avatar, which is a part of the Materium, the construct begins to move into that direction, the construct begins to take over and knit new circumstances into a reality tunnel to make something come. It is a builder protocol. It works because you are a co-creator. But equally so, when 2 or 3 days go by and things are taking longer than you think, you use your co-creator power to nullify exactly what you had already sent into the field, because now you've introduced a new frequency. It's called anxiety. When something doesn't come to pass as fast as you want, you grow anxious. Anxiety is a nullifying frequency, and it will undo any work you have already done on whatever is you're being anxious about. So anxiety is controlled, though, it is governed by how we see ourselves. How we see ourselves governs over the frequencies that we emit as co-creators. That's the key component here. Who are you? What do you believe yourself to be? Why are you here? What is this place? These are things you have to come to grasp with before you're even able to do incredible things in the field, because all the potential lies in the field. The arithmetic is already there. You don't have to know it. You don't have to be a numbers guy. You don't have to be some type of guru in physics. None of that matters. All that matters is that you are a soul moored to source, temporarily using an avatar connected to the Materium. And this formula alone allows the construct to reflect back to you as circumstances and experiences the very things that you broadcast as frequencies based on how you see yourself. That's as simple as the formula can be related by me. So, would my moderators please post the link, the Placebo Dreamscape. I have a really good video that will break that down. It's called the Placebo Dreamscape. Placebos are not real, but because the person, a soul, believed that they were real, they became real. Their belief structure overrode the fact they were giving something false, and their frequency turned it into the truth. The Placebo Dreamscape. So How you see yourself is what builds the highly individualized, informed field. Every soul has a field. That informed field carries the entire corpus of information of everything you have ever experienced, everything you have ever observed, everything that you absolutely hold to be true. It is in the structuring of the field you carry with yourself every single day. When you walk through life, coming into contact with other souls, you get premonitions, feelings, suspicions. Your intuition flares up. You begin making assumptions based off information that was given to you from somewhere else and not the primary senses. Your sense of touch, taste, smell, hearing, all five senses had nothing to do with the opinions you formed of another soul when you came into contact with them. Those opinions came from somewhere. Everywhere you go, your field is interfacing with the fields of other, and you are taking on information from your environment. Some people are carrying some really dark emotional baggage. And when you come into their presence, you feel the oppression, although you don't know why. Others are elated. They are in a joyful state. Nothing's going wrong for them. Everything is cool. And being around them is magnetic, and it's just contagious. Laughter and sneezing and yawning are three excellent examples. Actually, I'm going to remove one. I'm going to remove sneezing because that doesn't happen to everybody. But yawning is an excellent example, and so is laughter, of very, very powerful frequencies emitted by an avatar that are almost automatically assumed by avatars within the vicinity. They're high resonance activities. So I know no one can yawn around me, and I'm not going to sit there and join them. We can all sit there in the middle of the damn room looking like we're howling at the moon. Yeah, you just yawn around me and I'm going to join you. Yeah, I'm a fellow yawner. I am. So I've tried to stop. It's not going to help. So that's a visceral avatar experience. A spiritual informed field experience, though, is laughter, because laughter is what's done by the avatar, but it comes from something more compelling. It's deeper. Humor is spiritual. Just like intuition, empathy, and imagination, humor cannot be defined by anything other than the soul within, not by intellect or genius, not by it has nothing to do with that. Humor has nothing to do with the brain or intelligence. Now, intelligence is a qualifier. It allows you to see the humor in many things, but humor itself is a spiritual phenomenon. So, taking these things into consideration, we see that experience is based on personal frequency. It's really that simple. And we tend to overcomplicate these things and intellectualize them and try to make things far more complicated than they actually are. But if the Materium is based off lower frequencies, and all the things that are holy and good and all that are higher frequencies, then our experiences are basically nothing but the reflections of frequencies we've broadcast as true about ourselves. And the construct reflects those back as experiences. It's no different than dungeon programming. It's a feedback loop. But the variance lies in the fact that the feedback loop was initiated by the co-creative immortal within, and not by the dungeon programming of the Materium. That's the distinction. We can do what the Materium does, and we can do it better, but it's always going to be in the personal. We can't do it in the collective. Remember, we're not here to save the world. We never have been. There has never been a golden age. There has never, ever been a decade in all of world history where the rulers weren't screwing over the ruled. It's never happened. It's never. So it is our belief structure, who we see ourselves to be, that governs over how the Materium is going to treat us. And if you really want to go deep on that, we're talking spiritual warriors stuff. We're talking modifying the conditions of our life to the point where we are immune. It is us against the world. If you really want to get deep into that material, then one of my moderators, please put the link in for Armor of the Oversoul. Be the Ephesian Knight. That's the video that's going to strengthen you. Who you perceive yourself to be is always going to determine how the world is going to treat you. Armor of the Ephesian Knight. So if it's frequency based, if these are what we know our experiences to be, then how do we use this knowledge to navigate the Materium? How do we take these things we've accepted as facts now? How do we take these as a highly individualized soul to help us utilize our avatars to navigate this whole entire dreamscape that we call the Materium? We have to understand that the construct, it is subject to the law of conservation of energy, but we are not. We have to understand that the construct is subject to the law of diminishing returns, entropy, but we are not. That fly again. These laws exist for the Materium. The immortal within is moored to source. We've gone through this many times. The reason the individual in the here and now, in the now moment, the eternal now, which knows no past and future, the reason the immortal within in the now moment can be immune to the entire world's attacks is because the immortal within draws from itself far more than it contains. And that is only because the immortal within is moored to something that is far greater than anything in the entire construct can be. The Materium cannot possess even a modicum of power of the Oversoul. It would never happen. Never happen. And the divine representative of the Oversoul is not some great power out there in the world doing. It's not. Never has been. The divine representative, the divine agent of the Oversoul is the immortal within, is you. It's always been you. So, will one of my moderators please post the video, Practicing Immortality, Keys to Construct Navigation. That's Practicing Immortality. I think that's about a 2-hour video. Keys to Construct Navigation. I got so many of them, I lose track. Thank you. So, We have to be reasonable. We know we can't exercise this power all the time. We can't. There's an ebb and flow in the construct. Our avatar is moored to a construct that breathes programming in an ebb and a flow. There are times when we can do nothing wrong. We're flowing with the programming because we're in resonance with the co-creative builder protocols that are operative through all the Materium that we call life. And then there are other times it's the ebb. It's when the construct's pulling in, withholding its power, withholding builder protocols is doing. And there's just those times we just can't get anything done. And our own avatar soul interface experience mimics this behavior in the sleep-awake cycle. Microcosm, macrocosm, you already know. But we can phase in and out. This is the ability of the highly individualized soul. We have the ability to phase in and out of the two realities that are coexistent right here in the Materium, because there are two realities going on. At any given moment, there are two separate existences that are mathematically aligned, so intrinsically perfect that you would think it's one experience, but it's not. There are two different universes here at the same time. One of them is the collective. And we all recognize its routines and dungeon programming, feedback loops. We understand what the collective is about. In the other, we tap into it, we phase back and forth. We are all members of the collective at some points of our life, many times a day. And then there is the personal. This is where all the magic happens. We're not here to save the world, but we can save our world. And a real strong soul can even affect the worlds of others. But we phase in and out, just like the construct, the Materium's ebb and flow, just like the sleep-awake cycle, life and death. In our experience, it is the difference between being proactive and reactive. Huge difference. Proactive is spiritual. It is like mental alchemy. When the soul decides to do something, the avatar follows through, the construct commiserates, and the soul accomplishes something in the construct. To be reactive is to phase out of the highly personal and back into the collective. Anytime that your behavior and experiences are in reactive mode, you are spiritually dampened as opposed to being proactive. In reactive mode, it's always based off fear programming. To be reactive means that you have decided to do something because of external stimuli. You have taken on the fear of the Materium. And like a famous author, somebody mentioned him in the chat earlier, James Allen, said a long time ago, there is faith and there is fear, and where one exists, the other cannot be. To be reactive to external stimuli means you're no longer in co-creator status. Your connection to source has been dampened, and you're allowing yourself to be governed by the Materium. The highly individualized soul is the errant. The errant is the one that goes another way, defies the programming, completely ignores dungeon programming, is not affected by negative default programming. I call these souls errants because from the perspective of the construct, they are a problem because they go their own way and they're not participating in dungeon programming. So the personal informed field interfacing with the overfield is always through the avatar. It's what the avatar is doing. If you're being reactive, then the construct is watching what the avatar is doing. Why? Because the construct can't read the soul, doesn't know what the soul's going to do. The construct always bases constructual programming. It's probably some sophisticated ancient spiritual AI. I don't know. I've given many theories. It's magical. It can anticipate us most of the time because it has every decision we have ever made stored in the field. In the field is every move we've ever made. Every time we've been given variables, it has studied us and it knows which ones we take. This is why, by the time I get to the end of the video, you'll understand there is something you can do that shocks all that. Every bit of it. Most of you know what I'm talking about by now. But the personal informed field interfacing with the overfield through the avatar is why we experience what we experience. We create our own feedback loops. If we begin to react to external stimuli, then the construct will see that and automatically assume that that's exactly what we want. So it gives us more of the same experiences, so we'll react the same way, and thus creates the feedback loop. The construct is only giving us what it's receiving. It's reciprocating. It's not doing anything else. Mirror of the divine. So the overfield, we can call it the construct, simulacrum, the overfield, whatever, is of energetic frequencies that the highly individualized, informed field, your soul, the immortal within, can tap into. Just like you carry the sum total of all the information you've ever come into contact with, your informed field possesses a memory of everything you've done in this life sim. The construct itself contains memory as well. Information is in the field. The brain is a broadcaster and a resonator. It does not store information. The information is in the field. This is where memory comes from. This is where the magic happens when you get great orators who are able to give 2 and 3 hour dissertations and all kinds of stuff and never go through any type of materials. They have this, but in ordinary conversation with people, they don't seem to have this ability. But when they get up in front of a whole bunch of people and start beginning to talking, this magic takes over and they're able to do this. It's because they move their avatar in the direction of giving a public speech. And in so doing, the construct commiserated and their memory was flawless because it's not their brain doing it. They are actually drawing the information from the field. In many of my van vlogs where I've talked for over an hour on very highly complex issues, on scientific paradoxes, on chronological issues where I'm giving you dates and what happened and showing you the distance in time between them. I've done a lot of van vlogs where I'm in my flow state as I'm driving. It's because the brain goes into some other state. And in that state, it's interfacing with the field and information just flows through, goes through the avatar out my mouth, and you got it. And I've told you guys over and over and over and over, I do not memorize all of this material. I can't. I've got almost 1,000 videos now, over a dozen published books. And I know my material in and out and I go through it, but I don't have it memorized. If that much information was stored inside of me, how would I ever even have a conversation? How would I ever even get it out? I can't. We can only process information linearly. Therefore, we can only extrapolate it that way as well. Yeah, this information, this highly individualized, informed field, the human soul, the spirit. It's what interfaces with the overfield. It doesn't need the avatar to do that. It interfaces with the overfield and it can draw all this information out. Or it can interface with the spirit within, the immortal within, always moored to source. And source can provide the information. There's a lot of people who have this ability. There's a lot of people, they don't even know it. They have convinced themselves that they have memory, that they have convinced themselves, like Billy Carson, I'm a 140. They've convinced themselves that they're all. So yeah, it's just not true. Information is not stored in the brain. So when you have this ability to draw from the field, when you have this ability to draw from yourself more than you contain, it's transcending the Materium. And it's a key component to understanding who you are and what your abilities are inside the construct. With my moderators, please post the link to the video, Transcending the Materium. Thank you. Well, that fly has AIX programming. Man. All right. So the tools in our toolbox for experience construction are already in the Materium. They're already here. It's nothing we have to build at all. The magical medium of the construct itself has builder protocols, but they're only operative through the co-creator relationship. Remember, you're a mental architect. That's what architects do. Architects design things. They don't build anything. If you think you have to build in this beautiful magical construct that you have to follow through from A to Z to get anything done, that's not a co-creator relationship. The co-creator relationship is the highly individualized soul that understands that it is moored to the oversoul and yet temporarily experiencing this beautiful false reality. There's that fly. And can tap into the builder protocols that are already here and that you've been using them all your entire life and didn't even know it. Unfortunately, because of how you see yourself, you use those builder protocols in ways that were detrimental and that created for yourself a world that you do not enjoy. You cannot blame the oversoul for the misuse of protocols that were designed to help you when you use them because of self-awareness in a way that they harmed you. The self-aware immortal is a non-local awareness, limitless, timeless, with the creative tools of imagination and intuition. Intuition, and imagination used together, two different spiritual phenomenon used together can create anything. Anything. You can build whatever world you want. But the problem is that we are creatures of imposed limitation. We are always coming up with fantastic, great, grandiose ideas, and then within 3 or 4 seconds, we dismiss them as great, fantastic, and grandiose. We impose limitations on our ideas before we've even had a chance to move our avatars in the directions of the execution of such an idea. We don't ever have to follow through. That's not the co-creator relationship. We have to initiate like a mental architect. We have to initiate by sending a strong signal, mental signal into the construct. The builder protocol still won't do anything until the avatar, which is a part of the construct, actually starts moving in the direction of whatever is desired. And then the builder protocols will start working their magic. In proportion to the energy exerted in such an idea, the builder protocols will begin modifying the construct itself in the form of people, places, and things that begin to align like the kaleidoscope into the picture that you presented to the construct. All you have to do is follow through. You don't have to go all the way to the end and finish anything. That's not a co-creator relationship. As a mental architect, you come up with the design and then you initiate the project and then you back off and let the construct do what it wants to without introducing more spiritual energy that will completely negate whatever you initiated. That's called anxiety. That's a deal killer. So imagination is non-local. Non-local is a quantum physics principle. Imagination is something that is real. We know it. We all have imaginations. And yet it's non-local. It cannot be defined within the perimeters of the construct itself. The Materium has no way to define or explain what imagination is because it's entirely spiritual. By virtue of imagination, we can live in the past. We can explore the past. By virtue of imagination, we can travel into the future. We can even bring back memory from the future because these are just coordinates in the field and they don't really obtain while the avatar is having a linear experience. So imagination is non-local, but it operates outside the field. Thoughts are non-local. So we can think, we can dream, we can imagine, and no changes ever occur until our avatar affects the field through motion. So that's key. It's key. The avatar is key. We were given these avatars for a reason. Absolutely, we're given these avatars for a reason. The Judeo-Christian religion, the Abrahamic religions, basically not the Judeo-Christian, but the Abrahamic religions are going to hammer it into you how evil the avatar is. Yeah, you were born in sin. You ain't even done anything yet, and you're already born in sin. Yes, this poisonous doctrine of how evil the avatar is instantly poisons the soul. Remember, it's integral to understand how to use the magical properties of the construct. It has everything to do with how you see yourself. So if you're born into a world that is already poisoning you into believing that you have already done a trespass for which you're not even guilty of, then how will you ever break free from that type of programming to see your true potential? It's all by design. The Abrahamic religions are a toxin. It's terrible. It's spiritual. It's spiritually toxic to tell a young soul here that they have already committed a trespass before they've done anything wrong. And that before they can ever achieve anything truly spiritual, they have to be forgiven first. That's a mind fuck. It's terrible. And it does exactly what it's designed to do. It keeps 99.999% of all human souls here in the construct from doing anything great in the field. They live out normal lives, mediocre lives, sometimes subpar lives, or sometimes abject poverty because they believed the programming. And whatever a soul believes itself to be in the construct is what the Materium builds for that soul to experience. Intuition is entirely spiritual, just like imagination. Intuition is the reading of the field of probabilities beyond the sensorial abilities of the avatar. You know, we've lit taste, touch, hearing, sight, smell, whatever they are, all five senses. I keep missing one. Taste, touch, smell, hearing, sight. Yeah, sight, taste, touch, smell, olfactory, audio. Okay, I got it. Yeah. So intuition is the reading of the field of probabilities beyond the sensorial abilities of the avatar, which is moored to the Materium. Therefore, these are spiritual qualities. Intuition, imagination, empathy. the ability to feel an emotion that another soul feels, even though that you're not going through that soul's experience. That's empathy. That's a spiritual deal. And humor. Humor is absolutely spiritual. This interface with the Materium is all entirely spiritual. So I'll need one of my moderators to post the video called The Soul's Awakening, interfacing with the implicate order. Please post that video. Some of these videos are older, guys. They're pretty old, but they're still, there's never been a reason to redo them. That's The Soul's Awakening, interfacing with the implicate order. Thank you, mods. How a soul sees itself is how the Materium builds that world for that soul. And then that soul inside that avatar suffers the conditions of whatever that belief system was. Yeah. We are saturated from the time that we are little tiny kids. We are saturated and bombarded with absolutely toxic beliefs. By the time a child is 4 or 5 or 6 years old, they have already been in contact with soul poisoning doctrines. They may not perceive and understand them totally, but children learn by osmosis. They learn by absorbing everything going on around them, and they see the behavior of adults and older children. They see what's going, and they understand. They pick up these things, and they from a very, very young age. These souls are already being conditioned to hate themselves. It's toxic. In the overfield, this entire field of experience, everything that we want to experience already exists. There isn't anything that is inaccessible within the field. We're talking about field dynamics. Where even coordinates are not different. There is no distance in time or space between phenomena. In the field, it is holographic. And one property of a hologram that is very interesting, because holograms are made of light, and light contains information. And one aspect of the hologram will contain the information for the all. It is just like the avatar Materium relationship, where a single cell of the human body possesses the DNA information for the whole body. This is what we find. This is what we find in the holographic structuring of the simulacrum. We find that the overfield contains every experience. It contains every single frequency at the same time. The reason you're not experiencing the frequencies that you want is because you're not in resonance with it. A really good analogy is, let's say that there are a dozen tunnels. There's a dozen tunnels. Each tunnel has its own frequency. Each tunnel, a reality tunnel, has its own experiences, all kinds of things that avatar, which belongs to the Materium, housing a soul, is going to go through and experience. But there's a dozen of these tunnels, and they're all stacked. But the way you see yourself will only ever allow you to go into one of those tunnels, because the other 11 tunnels have all kinds of things in there that you'll experience, but they're not commiserate with how you see yourself. You have knit your own programming in the field. Therefore, you're only going to experience the very phenomena that you're already in resonance with. You cannot experience nor perceive things that you're discordant. If you are not in resonance with a belief system, you can't process the information that those adherents are trying to tell you. Christians and Muslims never agree because they are processing information totally differently. Their belief structures have modified their worlds. Their worlds have created feedback structures that lend credence to the belief. The more that they live as a Christian, the more the feedback loops bring more phenomena back to them that makes them believe Christianity is the right path. The same thing with Islam. The more someone is exposed to nothing but other people who practice Islam, and the more that these people see and translate information that is provided to them from the construct that shows that they are victims of Christians or shows they're victims of Jews or whatever, the more it reinforces the programming that they've accepted to be true. So when a fundamentalist Islamicist and a fundamentalist Southern Baptist Christian pull out their books and begin debating what is true and what is false, both of them are bantering over things that they will never come into agreement about. They have accepted reality tunnels that are diametrically opposed. Both are souls in the construct. Both of them are inside avatars that are connected to the Materium. Both of them are interfacing the soul, the psyche, and the simulation interface through the central nervous system is the exact same. What is different is that each soul has identified itself with something the other soul has not. How you see yourself in relation to the construct is exactly how the construct is going to build your world for you. And the world that was built for the Muslim is very different than the world that is built for the Christian. But because the Materium is a experience and not a planet, because the Materium, the simulacrum, is a field of frequencies, many different souls can experience different worlds at the exact same time, just like in a hologram, where different phenomena can be manifest and coexist without contact. It's the exact same principle. How you see yourself defines your experience here. And this is why the many things that we teach our children are absolutely spiritual suicide. This is a good time for my mods to post the link, The Secret to Breaking Free. The link to the video in We Immortal's playlist, The Secret to Breaking Free. Another aspect of the soul simulacrum interface is the fact that the overfield itself, the past, is not a predicate for the future at all for the highly individualized soul. Never is there a time when an individual soul that is moored to source, it could ever fall victim to its own past in the construct. There is never a future to fear at all to the highly individualized soul. All fear programming is based in the Materium. The Materium has nothing to do with the spirit at all. No matter what the programming is, if it's World War III, apocalyptic, Great Tribulation, Judgment, if it's catastrophe, none of that matters to the highly individualized soul, because the oversoul will always allow that soul in the Materium to draw from itself more than it contains, to override whatever temporal programming the collective is going through. Whatever the collective suffers, it's because they are members that chose to be a part of the collective, because how a soul sees itself is exactly how the construct is going to build the world for that soul. And if that soul chooses to live in feedback loops of dungeon programming, then the oversoul will definitely allow that. But for those errant souls, those night errants, for those prodigal souls, the oversoul is not going to abandon them. The oversoul is going to allow those souls to override whatever temporal programming is affecting the collective, because the highly individualized soul is a world unto themselves. I've said this so many times, I can't say it any other way. You live in two different realities at the same time. We phase back and forth between the highly personal experience and the collective all the time. We get moored into all these situations of the collective, and then we get fed up and tired of it, and then we go, man, what am I doing, man? Why am I even entertaining this BS? And then we go back to gardening. We go back to playing with our dogs. We go back to doing things that really interest us. And the power is in the personal. It always has been, because it's the personal that is moored to source. When the individual soul joins and phases out of the personal back into the collective programming, that's when that soul begins to that's when that soul comes into contact with all these frequencies that bombard it with fear and anxiety and depression and all the darker aspects of the holosphere. This is when that soul begins to suffer things because of the way it sees itself. But the highly individualized soul that can break free of that dungeon programming and go back internal and internalize everything, can build a protective barrier around itself, around its home, around its friends and family. Yeah, the builder protocols do not operate off good and evil. The builder protocols are there to be obeyed by the mental architects. The highly individualized soul has the power to override all the dungeon programming in the entire world, but it has to be done by the soul, not influenced by another. It has to be a decision that is made by the soul. And the only way true power is ever experienced is from within. Because if we ever attempt to borrow power from the Materium, we will always be up against the total power of everything inside the Materium as well. But when we ignore that and we internalize and we draw from ourselves more than we contain, which is only done through source, then there isn't anything in the Materium to fear. Not even if God was tearing apart the world would you have to fear. Remember, there is only faith and there is only fear, and where one exists, the other cannot be. So in the overfield, if something exists somewhere, then it can be experienced anywhere. And this pertains to every single soul listening to me now. If another soul has ever experienced anything in the construct, then that experience belongs to you too. Whether you claim it as your divine right depends on you. Why? Because how a soul sees themselves has everything to do with how the Materium builds that soul's world. You can't be envious of someone else. You can't be jealous of someone else. These are negative base, negative default emotions, and we default to them all the time. But if you learn to grow beyond these negative emotions, you can build for yourself even greater worlds than those you envy. In the overfield, what is true for one soul is true for all souls. There is nothing you can witness that another soul has enjoyed that you can't enjoy too. All potentia lies in how you see yourself. This is the divine mirror. This is the mirror of the divine that I've done a video about. This is critical for you to understand. You can never blame God. You can't do it. This isn't your only run here either. And the oversoul is so forgiving that you may have already lived 99 lifetimes just trying to get it right. But but the oversoul's not taking score. It's not because the only thing that matters is when you get it right. It's the only thing that matters. Remember, we're dealing with something far beyond inside these avatars that we can process. It's very difficult to process that an oversoul can be so loving that the single act of an instant can undo an entire lifetime of guilt. That's a very difficult thing for most people to process. But when you're dealing with an oversoul that knows that you were put into the position from the very beginning with the entire deck stacked against you, that's exactly how that oversoul would be. It wouldn't matter how many times you tripped, as long as you got back up and kept walking. That oversoul would continue to build the world for you as you saw yourself. So in the overfield, souls may live the same world, like I said many times, but they could live totally different universes. And we see this a lot. How many times have you tried to talk to somebody, a total stranger, and you get completely blanked out, as if this person doesn't understand a thing coming out of your mouth, and yet they speak English? How many times has it happened? You have come into contact with somebody who is resonating on frequencies so alien from you that the only thing there is you in your soul and their avatar, because their soul is resonating somewhere so far away that nothing about your world can touch it. That soul is gone. Doesn't mean they're soulless. They're not a lifeless hack, an NPC zombie. It means their soul is so darkened, there's nothing about your light it can resonate with. So their avatar commiserates, and their avatar in your presence seems like a lifeless husk, an NPC, when in reality their avatar has become a prison for a soul that's lost its light. So we have to remember that this isn't an actual reality. It can't be. It's too amorphous. It changes. So if this isn't an actual reality, then it must be a perceived reality. And that changes everything. Because if this is just a perceived reality, then how you perceive yourself is going to take on new meanings. If every single day you imbue yourself with more and more power, then your activity is going to reflect this. And when your avatar starts doing things that reflect the idea that you're growing more and more powerful because you've imposed this idea upon yourself every morning when you get up, then the construct itself is going to build for you a reality tunnel that exhibits that all of a sudden you're growing more and more powerful. Remember, this is a co-creator relationship. It's going to build for you in the exact proportion of how you see yourself. And if this experience is merely the effect, the result of our own perceptions, then there's nothing stopping us from borrowing from a future version of ourself that already got it right. There's nothing stopping you. The only reason some of you are disagreeing with me right now is because you just stopped yourself from that potentiality. But the others listening to my voice that are tapping into what I'm saying, if you're moored to source, source is the oversoul. The oversoul is eternal. What does that mean? It means there was never a creation. It means the creation is ongoing. It means there was never a beginning. It's the eternal now. And if that's true, then that means any future versions of myself that have powers, abilities, rights, privileges, and immunities that I do not enjoy right now, I can get those right now by borrowing from a future version of myself. If the Materium is illusory and it's a field of frequencies that have no coordinates, then everything exists at the exact same time as everything else. Not just experiences, but experiences of the past and experiences of the future. If everything is information, then there's nothing stopping me from drawing from myself more than I contain and pulling it from source, which contains all things. If I don't have enough strength, if I don't have enough memory, I know who does, and I can just borrow it. A difficult concept. I get it. It's a difficult concept. But my moderators, please help the community by posting the video link to Forging Reality, Turning Fictions into Facts. Forging Reality, Turning Fictions into Facts. Thank you. For any of my doubters out there who would like to wrestle with the idea that you're not living in a fiction, that you're not living in a materium that is based off an information field that has the structural properties of a hologram, I would like to draw your attention to the scientific phenomenon known as the placebo effect. The reason I want to draw your attention to it is because the very fact that the placebo effect is a thing is absolute proof that our reality is amorphous. And if our reality is amorphous and changeable by belief structure alone, then that means we probably aren't even in a real reality. We're in something else. The fact that control groups can use placebos and still, because of their belief structure, be healed from things that even most medicines can't cure, means that the immortal within took on faith that they had received something that they were going to derive benefit from. And the avatar Materium interface followed through and made the avatar immune to whatever was in the Materium programming that it suffered, because the placebo, which isn't a cure, was actually believed. The placebo did nothing. It was the immortal within who believed that they had received a cure, and therefore the Materium reflected that belief back as a cured circumstance. This could never happen in a real reality. This could never happen in a material reality where everything was truly subject to the laws of physics, where everything was solids and fluids and gases and orbits and gravity and all this BS that the Scientifica have tried to convince us that we live in. In a real reality, the placebo effect would be a nocebo effect. Wouldn't have any effect at all. So, because distances do not obtain, because time and space don't obtain, in an information field, you can resurrect past energy. Just like I can borrow, if I am deficient now in courage, if I am deficient now in memory, if I am deficient now in my inability to process information and to put something together when I have a bunch of variables that I know go together, but I can't figure out how, but I can borrow through meditation. I can borrow from a future version of myself who has already figured these things out, and retrospectively impose that understanding on the present. And I can adopt that, and I can elucidate, and people can listen to me and think that I figured all this out a long time ago, when it's all being drawn from a future variant of myself in the programming. Drawing from myself more than I contain from a future version of myself is no different than drawing from the past. We experience the future by agency of imagination. That's how we do it. And we experience the past by agency of memory. Is it always our memory? No. Memory is in the field. So you can resurrect past energy. Anyone can do this. If you believed that in the past that you were better than you are today, if you believe that in the past there was a point in your past where you were operating at a higher rate of vibration, if your frequencies that you emitted were better, if you're at a better point in life and you want to return to that in order to be able to move forward even beyond anything you've ever experienced before, if you feel that you have to regain that legacy from the past, you're able to do that. Absolutely. You wouldn't be able to do that in a real universe, but we're not in a real one at all. So I do have a note here. Let me see this note. You can resurrect past energy. Collapse discontinuities mean that every operable reality tunnel that you have experienced in life continues to propagate in the other hemisphere of arithmetic, that in the field beyond your perception still continues your ideas, your intents, your fears, your rewards, and your work, and that chaos is merely the cessation of perceivable patterning that actually continues in the holofield beyond your present awareness. So, I've talked about those in the past, collapse discontinuities. I wrote that a couple years ago, but the collapse discontinuities are like when you're experiencing something and all of a sudden it just abruptly stops. It just stops. And you think it's over with, but it's not. It actually continued in another dimension of arithmetic. But because you're not in resonance with that dimension, you no longer experience it. You think it's stopped. And then all of a sudden, 5 or 6 days later, 2 or 3 weeks later, 4 or 5 months later, all of a sudden your life just gets right back on that original track. Because it was on a track and you had certain experiences, relationships, and phenomena happening in your life. Then all of a sudden everything just switched. It's like a train station. You just switched. It never stopped. That reality tunnel continued in another dimension of arithmetic. I have given demonstrations of this, especially with the number 2178, the immortal number that never collapses. These collapse discontinuities happen in our lives. These are pattern breaks, but they're only pattern breaks of perception. The actual reality tunnel, all the arithmetic attached to it, continues on the other side. And then when it reemerges with the world of the Materium, the experience, all of a sudden you have deja vu. You're seeing the same people going the same routes, experiencing the same things as 3 or 4 months ago. And then day after day, it's like, damn, man, it's like, I'm back on track. I don't know what happened for a while, man, but I'm back on track. This happens to a lot of people. It's happened to me. It's probably happened to every one of us. These collapse discontinuities are more evidence that we're not living in one single reality and that we do skip, we do jump. Our avatars are still here, our souls still inhabit them, but the world of phenomena shifts and we perceive these shifts. The more awake we are, the more we perceive the shifts. This is why I've told you about deja vu, Mandela effect, synchronicities, coincidences. It is the souls that recognize these little nuances that are the most awake. It is the collective who do not believe that these things are a thing who are the most asleep. So one of the greatest things that we can take away from this series of propositions is that projecting energy of goodwill towards others actually codifies our own reality. Remember, how a soul sees itself is how the Materium knits the programming for that soul's reality tunnel and the experiences that soul has. But when a soul projects goodwill toward others, this is also codifying those programs for that soul. This is what The Master told us a long time ago, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The reason this was told to you in such simplistic forms is because of the mirror of the divine. What you project toward any other soul is what the Materium, through phenomena, reflects back to you as circumstances. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you was an excellent teaching summed up in one sentence that if you lived by it, it would completely modify the conditions of your life. Because you're not going to do bad things to people. You're not just going to go out of your way to just do bad things to people, because then bad things are going to happen to you. They're going to get knit into your experience. But if you did unto others exactly how you want to be done, the Materium is going to take that as a command. That command is going to be followed by builder protocols in the co-creator relationship to give you back exactly what you put another soul through. That's what's going through. That's exactly, it's a feedback loop, but it's a feedback loop not for the collective. It's a feedback loop that you initiated using spiritual power, because everything is frequency. Would one of my moderators please post the video link to Rendering Our Digital Dungeon, the Belief Interface? Rendering Our Digital Dungeon, the Belief Interface. So our experiences basically become, our experiences are they're based on frequencies that we're in resonance with. It's as simple as that. Our experiences are based on frequencies that we are in resonant with. If the Materium, the construct, this holographic programming has every single frequency, every single experience, everything already happening all at the exact same time and permeating through all points of contact within the holosphere, then your personal experiences are always going to be commensurate with whatever your frequencies you're broadcasting, because those are the ones you're going to be in resonance with. And everything else out in the Materium that you're discordant with, that you're in dissonance with, you're not even going to perceive it. It's not even going to be there. This is why so many people living so many different lives can all live right there in the same community and have completely different experiences. It's also why 15 different people can all be at the same coordinates and witness the same thing, and 15 different police reports can be filed. 15 different personal experiences can all be different, and the police don't have an idea what the hell happened. Because how you see yourself is always going to govern how you process information. How you process information is always going to govern how you see the world. It's a feedback loop. Every experience of discord, separation from the immortal within, loss of connection with source is because the individual soul has searched for meaning in the eternal world of illusory forgeries, in these frequencies that really produce a false reality, in the phenomena known as the Materium, instead of source. Process that. Every experience, every negative base experience, all negative default programming, all dungeon programming, discord, separation, evil, whatever you want to call it, every experience that a soul has here that is negative is from a loss of connection of source. And that loss of connection to source is only because that soul has searched for meaning in the Materium, as opposed to looking within to the oversoul. It is the reliance on the Materium instead of the reliance to source that is the cause of all ills in the human family. We are told that the kingdom of God is within us, but we've spent lifetimes trying to find him here. We have developed toxic religions that make us subservient to a deity that was never even designed for us to worship. Remember, we were told that the kingdom of God is within, and yet there are still people waiting on a second coming. We were told that the kingdom of God is within us, and yet we're still looking at religions to save us. It's all programming. It's because we have mistaken the house for the inhabitant. And we've suffered experiences that match the very signals we broadcast. And many times we're not guilty of anything but obeying our programming. Where did it come from? When we were little kids and we were told we were evil. We were born in sin. And if we weren't raised in fundamentalist religious backgrounds, where we were little kids and we watched the world as it was, and we absorbed these things through TV commercials and television. Oh yeah, babies absorb everything. They absorb it all. Even a TV playing in another room, that baby in that crib is absorbing all of it. It may not process the information because information's in the field, but by the time the baby is learning English as an infant now at 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 years old, this young soul now understands English. And yet, by agency of imagination and memory, spiritual qualities, that baby has memories, and those memories now take on all kinds of belief structures because the baby absorbed those things before it knew English. But now that it knows English, it's absorbed them because information is in the field and can be processed ex post facto. We're always processing information ex post facto. It's called memory. So would one of my moderators post this is a good time for The Other Side, Our Photo Negative Reality. We should have posted that one a little earlier, but it's good. The video from We Immortal's playlist, The Other Side, the photo negative of our reality. Or our photo negative reality. So I'm not trying to say that defaulting back into the Materium is evil. It's a part of the system. We are absolutely designed in this avatar Materium relationship with the soul avatar interface through the central nervous system. We are absolutely designed to default back into the collective. It's a part of the programming. It's a part of our education. So there is no way a soul can ever just remain totally moored to source at all times and never have contact with the outside world. That's a monk in Tibet on a mountain in the Himalayas. And staying on a mountain in the Himalayas, a monk sitting on the side of the deal does the human family no good. Meditation for years on end doesn't do anything but atrophy the soul and atrophy the avatar. I have never subscribed to the idea that a bunch of guys wearing robes on the side of a mountain are holy. Now, holiness is defined for what you do for the human family. It is not for what you do for yourself. No. I've never liked that model. So, but defaulting back into the Materium is a part of our experience. It's a part of what we're supposed to be doing. Phasing in and out between the highly individualized personal soul and the collective is a part of the experience, because this is how we grow. We're able to phase in and out. We just have to know the right times. And this may be the purpose for so many life sims, having to live through so many life sims before we actually exodus the construct. I don't know. But we are a soul, a being of two different worlds. One is the personal and one is the collective. And as long as we maintain that thought and understand and process it, it will also give us great advantage in how we see ourselves, which is, it's of paramount import, because how we see ourselves is in direct proportion to the way our lives unfold. We live in two different worlds, the real and the imagined. The world of the eternal now and the illusion of the Materium, which is governed by time, by entropy, and by decay. That's the Materium. The highly individualized soul is timeless, does not decay, and does not experience entropy. For those souls struggling with the Materium, with the feedback loop of emitting desperate energy only to live out desperate experiences, we do have a powerful tool that will override all dungeon programming. It's called breaking pattern. It's why I'm always saying you got to break free or die trying. It is one of my chief mantras in Archaix. Breaking pattern is something that the builder protocols, the Materium itself, the entire holography literally shuts down for an instant in time and just pays attention. It's the soul's window to initiating great change. Everything in the holosphere is based off feedback loops. These feedback loops are physics protocols, physics constants. They're all kinds of things, dungeon programming, negative default programming. And through my video presentations, I've given so many examples of all of them. All these things that are fixed in the field that can never be changed by the collective. But when a soul breaks pattern unexpectedly, it shocks the programming. And the builder protocols go into overdrive to try to knit a new reality tunnel that's going to guide that soul back into some form of dungeon programming, even if it's a much higher level. And they can't bring that soul all the way back down to where it formerly was. Breaking pattern is the soul's ability to modify the construct. But even what happens after a soul breaks pattern is still completely up to how that soul sees itself. But that's not an anchor, because if it's true that the selfless act of an instant can undo a lifetime of guilt in the eyes of the oversoul, and that soul is moored to source, then it's equally true that an instant act of breaking away from whatever behavior was done in the past can break patterns so perfectly and completely change that soul's self-awareness, which means that the Materium would reflect the new circumstances that were created in an instant, because that's what a co-creator can do. This means that if there is some great change that a soul needs to make in their life, and their life being the sum total of all programming they've accepted to be true, then all it takes is that one soul to break pattern and right then and there make the decision no more. To break pattern and decide, I am this person now. This is who I am. I am done with that. This is who I am now. And this is a very painful process for a lot of people who are in contact with that soul, because this is hard. This is a hard thing. But we outgrow other souls around us all the time. And when you totally break pattern, you will see very quickly how fast you have outgrown other souls and what it means. And suddenly people that you have known for years, that you have been engaged with on a daily basis, that you have been in resonance with, are all of a sudden completely dissonant. There is discord, there is strife, there is envy, there is hatred. It happens in the instant that their soul realizes they're no longer in resonance with you. Breaking pattern is the key to the co-creator relationship, because the patterns that are formed are all dungeon programming. The true soul is free and does not conform. It is an errant soul, a knight errant, a prodigal soul. It can be a lonely life, but it's the soul of growth, of change. It is the highly individualized soul that changes the world. Nothing in the collective can change the world, because the collective is fixed on fixed programming protocols that always loop back on themselves. Yeah, the players change and the dressing changes, but the situations in the world never change. Damn, AIX sent that fly straight into my eye. I told the oversoul I'm going to get through this video despite all the distractions. I've had distractions all morning. Get through this video. Even this is a distraction. I have no idea where my mouse is. All right, there we go. Quit working on me. Battery must be dead. Wow, so many distractions. One of my moderators, would you please post the video, Knight Errant, my piece is not for barter. From the We Immortals playlist, Knight Errant, my piece is not for barter. Thank you. So, two takeaways here. One, you change your frequency, you will change your world. And two, reality will always build for you the world that is commensurate with how you see yourself. That's a whole different video there on how you see yourself. Because whatever baggage is in your life that makes you think that you are unworthy for a whole different series of experiences that you really want to experience, whatever is chaining you to any elements of the past, they are all self-imposed. Every one of them. Every single moment is pregnant with possibility. The potentia for all things already lies in the field, and there is no distance in time between with what you want and what you can get. There's no distance between them. The only distance is you. The Materium will always build for you a reality tunnel that completely mirrors how you see yourself. It is the mirror of the divine. Moderators, two more, and we're going to conclude this. Two more videos, because I wanted all these videos to be in this chat for people in the future to be able to get in this chat. But my presentation is done. I have two videos I want left. One is put the link in the description. I mean, the link in the chat box for Be the Wizard Within You. That's from the We Immortals playlist, Be the Wizard Within You. And then the last one, the last video, Wisdom in Dark Rain. I appreciate you guys joining me. This was a more serious video. I needed to get these things out. Been on my mind for a little while. I'm glad to see about almost 1,700 in the chat. I do hope you guys share this video. I hope you like it. I never ask for likes. But it seems like my likes have gone down a lot. I know you guys don't hate me. I know you don't hate me. So I'd appreciate some of those likes. But really, the most important thing is to share this with someone you think that needs it. because this one video here now has about 14 links to other videos that will change your life 100%. I know this for a fact because I have a chat right here full of people who have already observed those videos and they have made those changes. Living a community full of living testimonies that I'm not sitting here trying to BS you through anything. I didn't charge you for this video. There's nothing here in my description box where I'm trying to get money because I did this presentation. This right here was freely given because I freely received. Because I 100% I am adorned in the armor of the oversoul, and I know that I can draw from myself more than I contain, and I am moored to source. And these three facts right here are the reason why I am the way I am. But I'm also human, and I'm subject to all the base human faults and desires. I'm never going to try and convince you that I'm perfect, because I'm not. It never will be. Not while I'm immersed in the Materium. So that's my presentation, guys. Let's go ahead and check that description box for the errant ad sponsoring this video right here. Let's go ahead and watch it one more time. I have never heard. I'm gonna look into it. I've never heard of this before, guys. Ever. I've never heard of this. I'm gonna have to look into it if it's all that. Anyway, love you guys.
From ancient biblical, Ayurvedic, and Chinese texts to more modern texts from the likes of George Carey, Walter Russell, and now modern peer-reviewed studies name this one substance the panacea for all human health. Asphaltum, mumio, the sand salt of the pineal gland, the literal kundalini rising, shilajit, true shilajit, not the so-called Himalayan cold shilajit made in China, but nature-made shilajit is the singular, most beneficial natural healing agent found on Earth. Hello, fellow errants. Is it possible that most of us have never experienced true vitality? That we have not raised the bar of understanding, that of our own physiological and mental potential? Shilajit. Start here.